Yo, welcome to another K4Wins. It's Tone the Bone, Tony Kurre. I've been doing radio, ESPN for 40 years. Case Kiefer to my left, of course, the Las Vegas Sun. He's the chief editor out there and the best doggone handicapper in the face of the earth. If you follow him, follow his futures, he's all over everything. And of course, the man below us, he's been working both sides of the ledger now for almost 4 decades as well. So when it comes to handicapping numbers, particularly team totals and stuff, he is the master at it. He is, of course, Kai Gregory does fantastic work. We've got some great stuff to get into today. First, I want to go ahead and talk about the game last night. My son texted me about 6 minutes into the game and said, "This game sucks." I never heard another thing from him from that point on. We know what happened in the second quarter. We know what happened in the fourth quarter. It was a Fiesta classic, 31-27. Miami gets it done. I know from my two partners here, Kip will join us in a minute. Both you have futures. What is your future, Kai?
28-1 on Miami.
And that's to win the national title, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Case, what is your futures on Miami? Because you had them tied a bunch of different things.
I got them 50-1 to win the title.
Yeah.
So,
oh, my.
I like his odds better.
All right. Before we get into the game later on tonight, and another fantastic game, Oregon and Indiana, and Oregon's getting banged up again. Not to mention one of their prized possessions going to the transfer portal 2 days before the game. What the hell is going on in this world? We got nearly 29% of all college football players now in the transfer portal. It's more like 3,750 players. It's ridiculous. We'll talk about that in a second. But let's start with that game last night. It was great watching Trinidad and, of course, Carson Beck go up and down the field. Case, I know you probably were tuned into that bad boy. Fantastic finish last night, and it ended just like you thought it would. What surprised you about that game last night throughout the entire 60 minutes?
Yeah, great game. And I think ultimately the right team probably won. I did think Miami was a little bit better. I think a lot of what we talked about played itself out. I mean, Ole Miss did have was more explosive, but they probably just needed one or two more explosive plays. I really felt like, I wish it kind of sucked a little. As exciting as it was, I wish there was a little bit of sprinkle of sucking down the stretch because I was on the under and it looked great for a while. But
No doubt.
the back and forth, it ends up going over. So I wish maybe it slowed down a little. Sometimes you watch these games, you just get a weird feeling. Well, I think when it was 17-16 and Ole Miss settled for the field goal at the 4 or whatever, I just that was when I didn't know there was going to be 3 more touchdowns or whatever, but I kind of felt like, man, you had to punch it in there. I feel like if they do it there, the whole game is different. I think they probably win. Because then they only need a field goal there in the last drive where they drive it down with 39 seconds. Who knows? A lot of what ifs, but man, that's a huge what if for me. I really, really wonder what happens if Lane Kiffin is still there, because I'm not saying 100% he would have. There's a good chance Lane Kiffin goes for that 4th down. And even if they don't get it, I mean, Miami's at the 4, they're pinned back. We know how conservative Cristobal gets. So I'd love to see the alternate reality where Kiffin didn't leave and see how he handled that situation. But there's so much that happened down the stretch. I feel like a lot of other moments are going to be dissected, but that's one that really stands out in my mind as a turning point. Miami holding them to a field goal there.
Miami going to a national title for the first time in 25 years. It was 2001, the last time they did it. And by the way, Carson Beck is going for his second natty because, of course, he won one as a backup quarterback with Georgia in his first season before he was actually the starter. So he could actually have a ring from 2 different teams. Kai, your thoughts on the game last night? By the way, Carson Beck, and I know Kip brought this up, 37-5 now as a starter throughout his career. Pretty amazing stuff what he's doing for the Miami Hurricanes right now. They got one more to go.
He had some good plays. I think if you're going to go for that on 4th down, what Case is talking about, then they almost had to run it on 3rd down and try to get yards. And I mean, Lacey was doing really well up the middle. I mean, the 70-yarder that he broke out was a play, basically right up the middle, right off tackle. And I really feel like they should have given him the ball and gone that, and then 4th down and gone. I do think Kiffin probably would have gone for it, but you never know. He might have gone for the 2 where they attempted field goals. And have you ever seen a kicker doink one off and miss, and then his very next kick doink it about this far over to the right and it go in? I mean, that boggled my mind. I was right there, and we posted under. We also had Miami, so I was glad they didn't call pass interference on the last play, but I didn't think it was pass interference. I have seen a lot of Ole Miss fans and SEC fans whining about that today. The commentators even talked about it during the game. But Miami dominated that game. If you look at the stats, Miami dominated that game. And they dominated the game without their best 2 defensive players, Bain and whatever the other guy's name is, can't remember on the line. not really doing much, but they had 180 more yards, something like that.
It wasn't quite that many. It was actually about closer to 80. But you're right. I mean, they were getting up and down the football field. Yeah, it was because
last drive.
That's usually the first
60 yards in there.
But it was relatively even, believe it or not. You mentioned Carnero, who was 4 or 5, and of course he hit that 58-yarder, which would have been hit. And you go back, and it's just a game of inches. It's just amazing. The one thing that really stuck out to me is Miami had 19 third down opportunities and converted on 11 of them. You're absolutely right. 11 to 19. You'll take 11 to 19. First of all, I think you'll take 19 conversions anytime. That means you're holding on to the football. You're probably getting TOP. So, yeah, to make 11 to 19, I believe Ole Miss was only 2 of 10. So that was probably.
They had the ball for 42 minutes, and Ole Miss had the ball for 18 minutes. Now, yeah. I will say that's not going to happen against Indiana. Yes, I'm kind of going where I'm going with that. I don't think they're going to dominate Indiana and be able to run because Indiana's not going to miss tackles like that. I just so you know, yes. Foregone conclusion in my mind, Indiana beats Oregon. So, just to throw that out there.
We'll talk that game in just a minute. And I love when I see stars step up. And Shambles did that last night. Carson Beck did that. Malachi Tony did it last night. I love when stars show up and they're actually who they're supposed to be in these big games because in the first 5 minutes, that game did suck. But, it happens. I mean, we see this all the time. That's why I'm kind of leaning. You can put it on the chart or if you want to put it on the play box. I like the under tonight because I think it's going to take some time for Indiana and Oregon to figure each other out. They're both defensively really, really stout. I know they've got scoring. Indiana doesn't make mistakes and Oregon doesn't make mistakes. The one thing that I think is really interesting, though, is obviously the running back situation for Oregon. We'll talk about that in just a second. Before we do that, though, I want some futures. We have one piece of the puzzle done, Miami. What will the line be? Miami against Oregon and Miami against Indiana. Case Kiefer, what do you put the numbers at?
Ooh, shockingly, I've just been so consumed with other things. I haven't even looked at the look-ahead lines or figured out what they would be. Just off the top of my head, or let's see, get something up here. I would think the Oregon line's probably only 3. And then
Oregon 3?
Yeah, I think it'd be Oregon -3 somewhere around there. It also depends a little bit of how tonight goes. I mean, if Oregon, not that this is likely at all, and I don't think it'll happen, but if Oregon puts a Texas Tech type beating on Indiana, then you can tack a couple points or at least a point and a half on that. But yeah, off the top of my head, I think it'd be like Oregon -3, and then Indiana probably more in like the 6.5 range. Obviously, they're a 3.5 point favorite on a neutral now. I'm sure these are up somewhere. I could get the real answers, see how close I am. But
that's why I asked you before the show. I was going to ask you that question. I knew you'd be all over it, so we're trying to do a little prep here. But you're probably spot on. Your numbers are better than Vegas in some case. You mentioned it's 3.5, 48.5. I do like that under game. And again, you know how I do not like playing unders. I hate unders. But I just think it's gonna be like a 10-3 game at halftime, believe it or not. I think they're going to feel each other out. Defenses win championships, and I don't think anybody wants to make a major mistake in this game, including your Heisman Trophy winner. And the fact that right now Jay Lamar just up and split a couple of days ago, which he was been banged up throughout the entire season. He comes back a couple of weeks ago. He's healthy again. Now he leaves. And then we find out that Jordan Davison has got a banged up clavicle. He's not going to be playing. They're down to 2 running backs for Oregon right now, which, obviously has a lot to play in Dante Moore, which tells me that they're going to be putting the ball in the air. Dante said yesterday after practice that when they played Indiana the first time, you remember Indiana was a 7-point dog the first time they played each other. They won 30-20. Dante said he was seeing ghosts. He said there were so many defenders in Indiana, and they were so well disguised, and they were bringing 8 guys to the line every single time. He goes, I just did not know where my protection was. He said, but I was seeing ghosts. And if he's admitting he saw ghosts the first time, I have to know what changes between one game and the next. I love the fact these guys have already played each other case, but now at least we kind of know where they're going to go by. But tell me what Oregon's going to have to do getting down to, I mean, obviously all the running backs are good. They got 4 of them, but having 2 of your guys who I think 31 touchdowns, those 2 guys were responsible for it. That's a lot of production.
Yeah, I still think that might be outweighed in them having all their receivers back, especially DeCorian Moore, who I think is like their version of Malachi Tony, who's now become a star. I think he's electric, and I got to look out for tonight. I will say I apologize. I didn't understand what you were asking me for before the show, where I could have looked it
No
up sooner.
problems,
But I
buddy.
did
No
look.
problems.
These are before last night's games. I haven't seen them reposted, but before last night's games, Oregon was a 3.5-point favorite over Miami in the championship game, and Indiana was 6.
There
So
you go. You're
that
right
was
on.
pretty close.
Right on. Right on.
Uh, I hate that they're 3.5. I hope it at least ends up being 3 for hedging purposes, but we'll see. Uh, but yeah, I think you nailed one of the key things that is talked about their first meeting, and I totally agree with. I mean, people forget, and I know it wasn't like he had a commanding lead, but Dante Moore was the Heisman favorite going into that game, and just seemed like he wasn't going to be able to be stopped. Looked like he was perfect in the Will Stein offense, and then, like you said, Indiana really disguised their coverages. It seemed like they'd show him one thing, back up, do something different. It was really like an NFL style defensive approach, and he was completely lost and had his worst game of the year. I guess we're gonna have to see how far he's come in that regard. As I'm sure Signetti and whoever Indiana's defensive coordinator is, I don't know off the top of my head, I'm sure they're gonna have some more surprises in store for him here, and that is a huge question to me, because I think they're going to need to beat them on the edges. I think that is where they have their most talent, when they can widen the field and get all their fast blue chip players out there. So I think he's going to need a better performance in that regard, and we'll see if he's up for it tonight.
Kai, if you're wondering who wins the game tonight, say you don't watch the game and then you see the stat sheet after, what's going to be the one stat that's going to stick out to you that's going to say, Indiana won that game, or Oregon won that game? Is it going to be third down conversions, time possession? Is it going to be passing yards? What's it going to be? Besides the score, besides the score, dumb it.
Yards after catch.
Yards after catch. Okay.
If Oregon's wide receivers get separation of any kind, and they can get yards after catch, I think that's it. Even more, I would have said yards after contact if Davison was playing, because he's the bruising back, the short yardage back, the touchdown back, 15 touchdowns, 667 yards for Oregon. I would have said that, but I think it's yards after contact. I want to see how big of a loss. And of course, we're talking about the DN from Indiana that's still not back playing. But on a fast track in Atlanta, I cannot play under in this game. They put up 50. Oregon had 20 with Dante Moore not playing well, having two interceptions. I already posted, didn't ask. First time probably ever posted without saying anything to anybody.
Wow! So
already posted Oregon over their team total 21.5.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Team total. You can go team total and still go under. I'm okay with that, because we have this deal here. People don't know. If you go to K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, if I say one side and kind of likes the other side, it cancels each other out. We try to all be in the same boat with our plays, and that's why we're hitting it at 67, 68% clip. We're doing really well. So, but if you like what's the team total for Oregon?
21.5.
And I'm having a problem. I think for some reason I feel like Oregon's been fighting the injury bug, and the Lamar move was really amazing to me. For some reason I feel like they just kind of run out of duck juice later on tonight. By the way, the Ducks, of course, are going back to play for a national title. If you'll remember, a lot of people here in the Birmingham area will remember it was back there when they played the Auburn Tigers and actually lost that game. What was it, 2019, 21-19 when they lost that game? They also played Ohio State in another game back in the 2000s as well, the Ducks did. So this will be the first time they're going to play for a national title in quite some time as well. So,
hey, Tony, so the thing to me is with Indiana is, and I don't know if they can keep it up, but it happened last year until it didn't. And this year, Indiana just doesn't make the stupid mistakes that a lot of teams make. The quarterback doesn't make the stupid mistakes. The running backs don't seem to put the ball on the ground in the worst times. Even the receivers, when they go across the middle, instead of catching the ball and maybe fighting for that extra yard when it doesn't matter, sometimes they don't do those things that mess up. They don't make the big pass interference penalties that a lot of teams get. They don't get the stupid penalties on the line of scrimmage. Can that continue tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's a great question. And I think when you're talking about two teams, when you're talking about defenses too, and I hate to say this because it seems to, stay in front of the chains and blah, 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 blah. I really think it's going to come up to turnovers, man. It's going to be really careful. Whoever loses the turnover battle, I think, is going to be up against it. By the way, Miami bested their ATS last night by winning their 10th game against the spread last night, that line 3.5. So you talk about how tight lines are, Case. Whenever you see a 3, I mean, it could go either way. What do you expect to see later on tonight? I know you've loved Indiana throughout the entire season. They just kind of quiet, moving on their own thing. They are for real. This is going to be a great game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked Oregon a lot too. In my bracket, I filled out before the thing. I had Oregon winning this game. Then, I mean, if you've listened to me for the last several weeks, you probably want to smash me over the head because I've flip flopped so much that I bet Indiana at open. I probably on Tuesday was more leaning Oregon. Now I'll say interesting since we've been on air, the second sharpest book I'd say in Vegas taking gigantic bets. Just moved to Indiana -3, so we officially have a 3 on the board. We'll see if that's a lean of things to come. If it's going to be 3 everywhere. I don't know. Like you said, it's tight. I think the number's about right. I always say I don't handicap off of this, but I know people love talking about these type of things, and so I'm presenting just information. I still think if push came to shove and I had to take one team here, I wish I didn't bet Indiana. I would probably just have no bet here, but I'd still probably ever so slightly lean the Indiana side. But I will say, you want to talk about like whatever you want to call it, sharps versus squares, pros versus Joes divide. I've heard no one picking Oregon betting Oregon except some of the sharpest sports, like the guys I would trust the most that I would give my own money to bet. Like 3 of them, I said said this number should be 3. Anything over 3 is a take on Oregon. And meanwhile, every single recreational player is just slamming these books with Indiana. So I really do think, and that doesn't mean that, like I said, I'm probably picking Indiana too. Like the best in the world win 56% of the time. The public beats them quite often as well, and this might be one of those cases. But I do definitely think it's always interesting in a game this big. And last night I thought there was a lot of split opinions. I know Miami was a little bit more popular side, but tonight it's extremely skewed. Indiana is the way more popular side, but Oregon, all the big bets are on Oregon. So just an interesting split there.
That always scares me too.
Also get them if they lose by 2. So.
Yeah, and I'm looking at, and pardon me if I'm way off, but this is a good Vegas site here, but 66% of the bets are in Indiana, and so is 66% of the money. So, and again, that is a lot of public action. It always scares me a little bit when I don't hear anyone talking about one side, and I'm like wondering why the line's not moving, but it's not. So obviously it may not be the number of people, but it's always the line moves not because the number of bets, it moves because the amount of the bets, because of the money that moves. The money moves the lines, not the number. So you may have a multitude of people, certainly from a public standpoint, really like a side. That's why everyone's talking about, but the line just stays put because the real money or the big money, the sharp money is coming up on the other side. So I think that's going to be really, really interesting.
I got a question for you, Tony.
Yeah.
And for you and Case. And no, I don't think this gets in there. But to me, in the back of my head, if I was one of these 2 quarterbacks, I might be thinking, damn it, if I lose this game, I become the number 2 pick and I have to go to the freaking Jets. I just want to know if that's in the back of the mind of either one of these quarterbacks.
Probably not. Probably not.
I only get $8 million a year to go to the Jets. I would get $9 million and be in Vegas.
But what you realize, and you remember, I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. We had the number 1 pick for 18 years in a row. I think it was. It was crazy. Every year the Bengals had the number 1 pick. They were going after Klingler. They were going after really lousy quarterbacks until they finally realized they had to go after the offensive guards, go after offensive line. The quarterback situation in the draft is just so hit and miss. And you see some guys that go in and maybe they're not that quarterback that everyone thought was going to be unbelievable, but they develop in the National Football League by holding clipboard for 2 or 3 years. And the next thing you know, they turn into be that guy, that first round guy. So who knows? I mean,
Yeah, if it's on anyone's mind, I would say it'd have to be more. Both these guys still have eligibility left and haven't declared, but Mendoza is, I won't even say 99.9. I'll say 100%. He's gone. I mean, Indiana already signed Josh Hoover. The writing's on the wall. Like, he's gone. But there have been rumblings that Moore could come back to Oregon. And you've heard some reports to this, some reputable reports that he doesn't want to be a Jet. So I don't know how true that is. It is possible, but I think Mendoza's gone no matter what. Moore, who knows? I think there's still a route where he could shock everyone, especially maybe they lose this game. He's clearly going to be number 2. And Oregon has not signed another quarterback. I know supposedly now they're in on a couple. They might be in on Raiola and Levitt, but who knows? That could be backup plans, thinking that that they have more coming back. So the more part of it's fascinating.
It is amazing, though, and I had a great conversation with Mark Ingram yesterday, the athletic director for the Blazers. I love talking to ADs. I talk to coaches, X's and O's and all that stuff. We've been doing that for years. But to hear an athletic director, and even we were talking about the portal and the fact as of yesterday, it was like yesterday 3,450. Now it's like 3,767 guys, roughly 28%. One in more than four guys are transferring, which means that they're making a phone call to a woman and they've already got a backup gal sitting in the backseat of the car. If it doesn't work with her, then I got another girl I'm going to go to. But when you're talking about the money, like Diego Pavia, I know those guys, a lot of people think he's got that Tim Tebow winning attitude. He's in your face. He's kind of built that way. A lot of people thought that maybe he could be a late first round, maybe a second round guy. And now he wants to come back, or he's wanting to come back because he's going to make more money at Vanderbilt than he'd be making in the National Football League. You know, you don't make it on your first contract. You always make it on your second. So I'm wondering, Mark's like, I'm not surprised by the number of guys who are transferring, but I am surprised by the amount of money. He's like, man, I've been sitting here as an athletic director for 12 years, and all I hear from boosters and alum is we don't have the money, times are tight, I can't throw any money at you, I can't help you with facilities, blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden we've got 20, 30, $40 million guys coming out of the woodwork saying, I got a quarterback out of Yana that I want to play for Ole Miss. You know, how much can we pay them? And again, you know, it comes down to the clearinghouse on the NIL situation. But as of right now, when it comes to paying players, that $20.5 million cap, I think, is very loosey-goosey. I don't think I'm sure, quite frankly, there are a lot of players that are probably, a lot of teams that are probably going over that number. We just don't know about it. So it should be really interesting. All right. We've got a lot going on here when it comes to professional football, too. We talk a lot of college. The big national championship game's not for another week and a half, so we got some time to talk about that. We're going to be on the air again next Tuesday and next Friday, right before the Natty. So make sure you check us out 10 o'clock Central right here on the Coastal Sports Network on Tony Kurre Radio. We are blowing and going right now. This show is one of our most listened to shows on TKR. We thank everyone who listens to it live here, of course, on our YouTube channel, not to mention wherever you get your favorite podcast on Audacity, and hopefully on VSiN coming soon sometime this summer. We'd love to be on that before the kickoff of the college football season 2026. We're going to get into that. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about before we get into pros when it comes to the transfer portal or just where we are in college football? I pull up the word college sports and then I hit news whenever I talk to Mark, just because he's an athletic director and I want to kind of get the idea. And every single time I do that, the first article is college football, college sports is so broken that there's no way we're ever going to get it back. We talked about it on the show yesterday. I can point my finger at Greg Sankey all day long because the Big Ten and the SEC are kind of running the show. They can't even agree on how many times their own teams are supposed to play each other during a regular season because of the autonomy of those two. They're leaving everyone out of the discussion, and I think because of that, we have a lot of things that the toothpaste is out of the tube, and we're trying to stuff it back in. But Case, anything interesting for you from a gambling standpoint when it comes to college sports? I know you're a numbers guy. They were asking me if I think the game's going to change. I said, listen, as long as there's 100,000 people at Bryant-Denny every Saturday, I don't think so. I mean, it's going to be more difficult to be loyal to a particular team, but if 1 in 4 guys wants to leave at the end of the season, Lane Kiffin wants to leave before he plays a national championship game, hadn't really changed.
Yeah, no, nothing super. I mean, it is wild. I guess you said Mark Ingram wasn't, but I am every year taken aback by how many people are in the transfer portal. I think I saw a stat yesterday. I was like 26 or 28 teams to be filled with guys in the transfer portal. So it's crazy. It's just wild. Yeah, it's really way different than college football's ever been before from a betting standpoint. Just again, you got to kind of ditch your priors faster and try to get up on who these teams are going to be next year. I can't wait. Probably be next week. I'm guessing we'll start to see some line. Probably get the Heisman market for next year and the national championship market for next year. To no surprise that people have listened to me all year. There's one team I'm hoping opens up. They're going to be short, but hopefully a little bit, maybe in like the 10-1 range. I want some Notre Dame and CJ Carr because I think this team at the end of the year was unbelievable. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to a little bit in the future. I think we'll get those odds probably sometime in the next 10 days before this year's championship game.
God, the one thing that everyone I keep talking about too is they love the fact there's no blue bloods. I mean, they're like, this is fun. We got Oregon, we got Indiana, maybe playing for a national. I mean, who would have thought? I never thought I'd see Indiana play for a national championship. We got Ole Miss in there for the first time since 1961. So it is kind of fun to see some new faces in there.
Well, it's an interesting point that I've heard a lot of people make, and I wish Kip was here for this because he would really hate this. It's interesting that 3 years in a row now, SEC is not going to have a national champion since we have made paying players legal.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the SEC is not dominating. I wonder why. 50,000 in a Charger doesn't get you to Alabama anymore. So
the SEC's been paying players all up until 3 years ago. The SEC's been doing this for years. That's why
everybody else is paying as much or more.
They haven't.
And people don't understand. They're like, wait, why is Alabama and Georgia not dominating? Well, because the illegal shit they've been doing for 80 years is legal, and everybody else can do it now.
Yep, everyone's on equal ground. You're exactly right, and that is a great. That's almost worthy of a Tony Curry lousy stat, but it's too good. That the SEC has not won a national title since we started paying players. That is really interesting.
And I could not agree more. I really think that that's a factor. I mean, there used to be like 10 schools you could go to get wealth or make a lot of money in college, and probably 8 of them were in the SEC. Now there's like 30, and it's a lot more split out. I mean, I'm not ready to write the SEC's obituary or anything. I think this thing does go in cycles. They'll probably be back at the top of the sport in a while, and Kip would be like turning red right now. He'd be so mad. But it's just, I mean, look at bowl season this year. Even the teams that didn't have defections, like the SEC, just in my opinion, was not the best conference this year. It was close, but it's in a little bit of a downswing. I think it'll come back up, but right now, it's definitely not ruling the sport right now.
I will tell you, I know a kid that started his college career at a small school, and I can't, if I say the school, everybody will know when it goes. And then his second year this year, he played for another small school, but he went from a historically black college to not a historically black college, so to an FBS team. And he did not play a ton. And then in their bowl game, he only got 2 plays because his coach was leaving. People were transferring, these kind of things. Well, he just signed with, I'll just say a prime school to transfer. And the kid is not 6 foot. Okay. He's 280 pounds. He plays on the line. I won't say which one. And he's getting $500,000 a year. And he won't be a starter on the line at a Big 12 school.
There you go. Let me ask you this. When do we start seeing this trickle down to high school?
It's already there. There's only, 7 or 8 states that don't have NIL in high school. I've been talking to people here about getting a collective for Hoover because it's coming to Alabama. We're one of, 7, 8, 9. It might be 10 states. I think it's 7 that's coming. We had the kid at Thompson, the quarterback at Thompson, Seifert, I think his name is, whatever it is, that signed with Alabama. He was offered $1 million in 9th grade to move to Georgia and stayed to be at Thompson, where he won 4 state championships in a row.
It used to be just where you got your mail case. You know what I mean? Parents used to catch hell all the time because you'd have people divorcing just so their kid could play for Hoover instead of Spain Park. They'd separate. You live here, I live there, just so their kid could play for that team. And I mean, it's always been like that. But yeah, the money's always been trickling down, and then unfortunately, it's probably going to get that. Let's do some pro action here. I made a bet with Legend because I think he's a fucking idiot. He loves.
I agree.
He loves the Houston Texans this weekend, and I would have taken the Bengals against the Houston Texans just to be on the other side. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers +3 at home. I think the Aaron Rodgers magic continues, and so we got a steak dinner. I've already got $40 as money. Can I plan on getting another steak case?
You just have them straight up, or you have +3? Sorry,
+3, my friend, +3.
I distracted me. I like your side, to be honest. I will say I wish I would have bet the 3.5. I didn't. I ended up taking some Pittsburgh money line +150 because I thought, I don't know if it was slow moving or what. That doesn't really correlate. Pittsburgh, we've talked a lot about. They've lost 5 straight wild card round games. But go back and look at those games. All but one of them, they were at least a touchdown underdog. I mean, this is a game that's a little bit more of a fair fight. DK Metcalf's coming back to lift the offense, and the Texans. We talk about a team that has all the potential in the world. When they're on, they look amazing. But, man, they've just up and down both offense and defense. I don't think people realized how poor the defense has been playing in the last month. They're kind of towards the bottom of the NFL in a lot of categories, and it's not like they played a murderer's row. They played in the last month, they played the Raiders, Riley Leonard's Colts, the Cardinals, I think. I think they had one tough game mixed in there. But there's just some warning signs for me for the Texans. I do think they're the likelier winner. I think they should be the favorite. But I think it should probably be more in like the 1.5, 2.5 range. So I like your side. I swung big for the money line. I couldn't bet the spread unless it gets back to 3.5.
Yeah, I'm saying $1.30 right now. Texans 1-2 against the spread their last three, only 9-8 against the spread all year long, despite the fact they had that long winning streak. And interesting enough, 6-11 on over unders. They won under 11 times in their 17 games. What's your thoughts? Do I have myself a stake coming, Kai? Because I know how much you love Legend.
I saw his response.
I mean, I hope you win just so you get his money. I know Kip said the Texans from his text he sent us, since he's having troubles getting on. But I just can't go against Houston's defense. I really like them, but I will say this: for their defensive style, Pitt might have the best offense to go up against it because Aaron Rodgers is getting it out, and so the pass rush from Houston, which is their strength, they do have some good defensive backs, but in my opinion, their pass rush is their strength. And Aaron Rodgers ain't sitting back there holding the ball 3 and 4 seconds. He's getting it out in half a second, 2 seconds, getting rid of it, which doesn't let Will Anderson Jr. get to him. I like Houston. I love their coach, who will not be named right now. But anyway, I like Houston in that situation. I will go ahead and I won't say all of Kip's picks. We'll go through them, but I really was on Pittsburgh under their team total of 18.5, and it looks like it's 19 now because it was juiced up earlier. I don't think either team gets to 20.
It's going to be an ugly game. I mean, period. Pittsburgh is ugly football game, and Aaron Rodgers is ugly. I mean, you go back to the Green Bay days where he used to throw 5 touchdowns. Those days are long gone. I will say this: I don't think we give Aaron Rodgers enough credit for being smart. Peyton Manning was one of the smartest quarterbacks I've ever seen, but I think Aaron Rodgers, in his old age, he reminds me a little bit of Greg Maddux. I mean, he's lost a little bit off his fastball, but man, he's hitting the corners. And I think that, and knowing that this is probably his last season. I'm going to listen. I'm a AFC North guy. I'm a Bengals fan, so it's really hard for me to root for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm going to do it in lieu of a Legend for sure. All right, Rams, Panthers, Green Bay, Chicago again. We got the Bills playing. We got San Francisco Eagles. By the way, that Eagles line has gone to 5.5, and I like San Francisco to win a Super Bowl, so I'm starting a little juice up a little bit. Their Chargers, New England, loon, the minus 3.5. We mentioned the Houston Steelers line. Case, what's out of the 6 games here, a wild card weekend? What's one of those games that's really sticking out to you?
Just from a competitive standpoint, wanting to watch it, I can't wait for the Jaguars-Bills game. I love what this Jaguars team is doing. I think they have a really great chance to make a run in the playoffs. However, I just really wish they were playing any other team other than the Bills. I still bet Jacksonville money line. You can read my column on LasVegasSun.com. I even made some futures this week. A lot of them involve the Jaguars because I really think there's 2 teams that I think are pretty likely to get out of the AFC, and the Jaguars are one of them. However, that's all with the asterisk of I could absolutely see them losing this game. Just I'm kind of terrified of Josh Allen. If he goes supernova, I feel like they can beat anyone. That being said, I know there's some rumblings that he wasn't 100% down the stretch of the season, and it certainly showed. I mean, he had some great performances, but some poor performances. Jacksonville's defense has just been so good. One of the there's been so much talk about Liam Cohen and how he's brought the best out of Trevor Lawrence, especially since Jacoby Myers arrived, and it's all due. But I think that kind of sweeps under the rug just how good this defense has been, and they're really good about getting pressure with 4. They don't even have to blitz a whole lot. So I really think they can bother the Bills. I do like the Jaguars, and man, it just really scares me going against Josh Allen. So as far as games I'm looking forward to, I think that one would be 1.1 for sure. And then I already gave that. I like the Steelers as an underdog. 2 favorites. I know Kip's on the other side in Rams Panthers, the kickoff. I feel like that first game was a complete fluke that the Panthers beat the Rams. I think the Rams should absolutely crush them. Now I know this is another weather game. It's just been a total under money all week. Keeps crashing. It's supposed to be rainy and windy. And another interesting betting market tidbit, Circa, which takes the biggest bet of any regulated sports book in the world. They're down to 10. They're like the only place in the world that's on 10 to that at this game. So usually if Circa has a lean that's telling you something that you probably want to be on their side. So that would indicate Carolina plus 10.5 is the sharp side, but there's no way I could back Carolina. I'm going to lay it with the Rams. I think the Rams are the best team. I don't know if they can win 3 straight road games to get to the Super Bowl. We'll see. So I like the Rams as a favorite. And I also just think this Patriots Chargers line is a little short. I feel like the Patriots should be like 5.5 here. I've been against the Chargers all year, and they've usually covered. So I could be dead wrong here again, but I just the Patriots are going to be healthier. I think their defense that they were kind of probably playing a little cautious and having a lot of guys out towards the end of the year. They're going to have a lot of those guys back this week. And Drake May, I think, is probably the rightful MVP. I don't know if he's going to win. So I like, for the favorites I would like the Patriots and the Rams.
Kai, Eagles, 49ers, both teams are 10-7 against the spread. Why is that line going to 3.5 to 5.5? You're the line man. Why'd that line jump 2 points?
I'm not the line man. That's Case. I have no idea because I think San Francisco wins the game straight up.
I do too. What Case? What's going on? I mean, that's an injury move. Was what that is.
Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit more injury uncertainty with San Francisco. I think Ricky Pearsall is almost for sure not going to play, and they're kind of they're kind of down bad in the receiving core. And Trent Williams did not practice on Wednesday. He did practice limited on Thursday. Brock Purdy came out and said, I have full confidence he will play. I actually think that is a huge – I lean San Francisco too. I think 5.5 is too much. I did bet some San Francisco, but at this point, I would wait, get clarity on Trent Williams. I know a lot of people say, oh, like one offensive lineman, how much does that matter? But you look at San Francisco's splits when Williams has played and not played, like for the last 5 years, it is insane how much better the offense is. Of course, he didn't play against the Seahawks, and you saw Brock Purdy was under duress the entire game. Didn't get any space to breathe. I think there's more certainty with the Eagles that Jalen Carter is going to be back for the first time in like a month, who makes a huge difference, as we've seen all year when he's in. Their defense is way better. Lane Johnson, who's like the Trent Williams equivalent for the Eagles, he's practiced limited 2 days, so he's 2-1 ahead of Williams. So it seems like the Eagles are almost sure going to get their guys back. The 49ers we're waiting for. So yeah, my best advice, maybe we'll have a better idea after practice today. See what Trent Williams does today. I would not want to bet the 49ers if he's not playing, but I think he will be out there. So because of that, I'd lean towards the 49ers.
What is one offense or defense out of the 12 teams playing this weekend? And I know this is a very broad general question, but maybe you have an answer for me. Both you can chime in. What is one offense or defense of one team that no one's talking about that you think is really, really good that no one talks about?
Jacksonville's run defense. People don't realize that the number one ranked run defense in the NFL. And they're going against James Cook, the leading rusher in the NFL.
Wow, so which puts a lot of pressure on their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Kip didn't put anything in on this game. I mean, I'm liking Jacksonville for a lot of reasons. One of those is the defense. McDermott 0-5 on the road in the playoffs for Buffalo, their head coach.
What was that? What was that again?
Josh McDermott 0-5 on the road in the playoffs.
Wow.
Head coach for Buffalo. Buffalo averages 19.8 points on the road and 33.5 points at home. Okay, but everything Case said about Jacksonville, I totally agree with. I love Jacksonville in the situation. I actually took them to win it all yesterday on something just depending on the road. But I really like that there. I know that Kip said he also likes Philly and New England and the Texans. He threw that in there. I like San Francisco no matter who plays, who doesn't in that game. I'm really interested. I don't know that I'm even going to have a thought or a play on Green Bay and Chicago. I really want to sit back and watch it. If that game's, I mean, it's 1 point for Chicago. So if it's a neutral site, is it a pick 'em? And if it's at Green Bay, is Green Bay 1 or 2? I mean, if you're going with a 3-point, toss and all that, I'm really interested to see that. I do think the Patriots, especially, are going to have 3. I like that, but it's just going to be, it's a great weekend for football. Started last night. I think tonight's game is going to be really good. And this weekend, the pros, I'm actually excited to watch playoff football and watch the NFL. And I think I've been excited maybe 2 weeks out of the year for them. Saturday,
Sunday, Monday, it's going to be fantastic. Case, give me an offense or a defense that no one's talking about that really surprised you that can make a difference.
Yeah, 2 jump out. I already talked about the Jacksonville defense. Seems like we're all on the same page there. I think it's been really good. Another one, though, that stands out and is not playing this weekend, I think it's kind of gone under the radar how much better Denver's offense has gotten. Now, I know they kind of crapped the bed in that Christmas game against the Chiefs, but other than that, their offense has been way better recently. And I guess it's because people don't trust Bo Nix and to a lesser degree Sam Darnold with the Seahawks, but typically, since the NFL went to this format, it is a lot more prohibitive to back the number 1 seeds, as in my opinion, it should be. They're the only teams that get a bye. They only have to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. I think there's kind of value on both Seattle and Denver right now because of their situations. I think a lot of people look at Denver and think, oh, that, great defense. They're just getting by with their offense. But really, all the metrics I use, it's not like they're top 10, but they're all above average in offense at this point. They have a good running game. I think Peyton and Nix are a really good match. I still don't know how good Bo Nix is necessarily. I just think he landed in the perfect position. I mean, imagine if he would have come to the Raiders in that draft. I think he'd be terrible right now. But especially if you agree with Tony and I, I think Pittsburgh has a really good chance to win on Monday. If Pittsburgh wins, then we'll have to see how all the other games go. It's hard to play the bracket game, but I would hate if Houston has to go to Denver. I'd be more worried about that game. But if they get Pittsburgh in the second round, I just do not see Pittsburgh going to Denver and winning. So technically, if the seeds hold serve, they play Pittsburgh in the second round. So I think Denver's offense has just has improved a lot from last year, especially, and even the beginning of the year, and probably more than people have realized.
Does Mike McDaniel get a job? Who is coaching Miami? And does the coach of Miami have anything to do with whether Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the quarterback next season? Anybody?
I mean, McDaniel's going to be the highest paid coordinator without a doubt next year. He's going to be able to pick his team. He wants to be the offensive coordinator.
And he's perfect for that. He's a weird dude, yeah. but he's perfect for a coordinator. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the Lions are right away going after him hard. So I guess you'd make them the early favorite, but who knows? We'll have to see how these dominoes fall. I mean, other teams are going to come up. I don't know who the Dolphins coach will be, but I kind of feel like either way, they're going to move on from Tua. I feel like my prediction would be it's not a Tua. They're going to eat. They're probably going to have to give up a second round pick or something, but I think they will, only be paying, 60%, 75% of his salary, and they'll dump the rest to.
And I hate it for Tua because I love the fact that his dad made him stay at Alabama when Jalen Hurts was the quarterback, and they had a chance. I mean, talk about the transfer portal. That kid could have taken off whenever he wanted to now. And he stuck it through. National championship comes in, wins the thing. Next thing you know, he's playing the National Football League. At one point, his stock, his equity was better than Jalen Hurts was at one point. More people like Tua Tagovailoa than they did Jalen Hurts. Now, of course, Jalen's got himself a Super Bowl ring. But, I mean, ever since this, sitting in the middle of the Cincinnati Bengals field, he hadn't been the same. He hadn't been the same since he got banged up, and not once, but twice, but 3 times. He's just not the same guy.
Mike McDaniel's QB, and Mike McDaniel's was gone to make sure that they're moving on from Tua also. I think he hitched his wagon to Tua, and that was a mistake because I agree. After the concussion, he hasn't been the same player. And I don't think he's ever going to see the field again as the number 1 starter for any NFL team.
I agree with you. And I hate it because I really think that he had a pretty ball for a long time. I mean, he didn't have a lot of zip on his passes, but he was very, very efficient. People say he wouldn't hit a window. He'd hit the pin. He'd hit the pin in the window.
Wait a minute. Did you just say Tua had a pretty ball?
I did say he had a pretty ball.
I was just wondering.
Not balls, ball. He's a pretty ball. I love the way his ball. When Aldo Greco was doing the show with me, it was hilarious. About once every 2 or 3 months, I'd say, "Hey, tell me again, Al, how you prepare your balls before you go out to a football game." And he'd say, "Oh, yeah. What I do is I take my balls out of my bag and I sit there and I rub my balls, because you have to sit there and push the ends of them in." And he'd go through this whole thing. Of course, Jay Barker would be looking down the floor laughing. It'd be pretty funny anyway. I know it's sophomore humor. I'm a sophomore kind of guy. All right.
I started it.
Yeah, exactly. You're the one that asked the question. All right, we got a game tonight, 6:30. Should be exciting. And again, in case you missed it, let's go over it one more time because I know a lot of people just want the plays. Give me a play tonight, Case, in the big ball game. Should be entertaining. Oregon and Indiana, 3 and 48.5. Who you like?
Ooh, an update. That 3, I just saw my screen lit up, got gobbled up. So back to 3.5 even money on Indiana at the Superbook right now. So they were down at 3. I'm going to dive into the props after this. Maybe I'll have some better a prop thing. But right now, I don't think I'd make a bet on the side of the total. I've already bet Indiana minus 3.5. So I guess begrudgingly, that's where I have to go. Although it's not a bet I would make now. Been a lot of money on the over. Opened, I think, 46.5 now, or there's even some 49s on the board.
You like the over? Okay, so you want to get.
I don't necessarily know that I do. I made it 47.5, so I made it right in between where it's been, but. Certainly, there's some betting interest in the over, and there was a lot of betting interest in the over last night too. steadily got bought up and ultimately ended up being the right side, although it didn't look like it for a long time.
No.
So I don't know, take that for what it's will, but it seems like today that the over is the side people are betting. I guess I don't know. The total's tough for me.
What I love about this is people are watching this right now going, wait a minute, they don't have a play on the biggest game of the day. Yeah, that's how we do our business here. You're talking about one of the best handicappers in the business in Case Kiefer, Las Vegas Sun. He's the chief editor. If there's not a play to be had, you don't play it. It's just because it's a Monday night game or just because it's a Super Bowl. I mean, I know there's some people that just like to they have to play everything they do. Put a little bit on it, kick back and enjoy the game. Don't lose your ass on it because, if you don't like it, you don't like it.
I haven't done it yet, but I love these semifinal games, especially. There's so many props. So I'm going to dig through them now and try to find some stuff. But I do think one player I'll likely be targeting, I've already named, but I just really like K4Wins more for Oregon. I think they'll dial up some looks for him. And they're so split. They have a lot of different receivers they use. I would think his I haven't looked at all, but I would think his totals are going to be kind of short. If there's an over I'm targeting off the top of my head, I think it might be some K4Wins more for Oregon.
Kai, you've already played a team total tonight. Tell me what it is again, and tell me what side and total you like.
If I have to bet it, put a knife to my head or a gun to my head or whatever, I would go Indiana. I'm like Case. I've flip-flopped over the last week, but I would go if you're not a subscriber, if you're not on the website, but you're listening, we're giving you the play right here that I've already put triple play Oregon over their team total 21.5. That's all I'm playing tonight.
Okay, there you have it. Anything else going on? We got hockey. We got hoops going on. I can't wait for March Madness coming up. Of course, the NBA has been well underway, getting after it. And it's like as I get older, I get distracted and I have a hard time concentrating on more than one thing at a time. I'm looking forward to setting my sights on college hoops, man. I can't wait to jump in because I feel like the bus has already left the station, but I'm going to be all over it. We'll be all over it too. We got plays. I mean, whether it's Melamar, who'd you have? Grand Canyon last week?
Rio Grande Valley.
Rio Grande Valley, yeah. Rio Grande Valley. Pink University was on there, I think. Yeah, you had some good plays last week. It was good.
And I've already spent about 4 hours on basketball tomorrow. I've only spent about an hour on the basketball tonight because it's a lot of small teams, but a lot of just the top 25 games tomorrow are out there. They're going to be incredible. A team that nobody's thinking about right now, Nebraska, and how well they've been playing, going on the road to Indiana. Tennessee is at Florida, which is going to be a good matchup. You got Michigan bouncing back at home against Wisconsin. I haven't seen these lines yet, but there's some great. Houston at Baylor, I think is going to be a great game, and the entire world is probably going to be on Houston because that's a popular pick. Baylor hasn't been doing stuff. I really like Baylor in this situation, even though I haven't seen the line because I know Houston's going to be favored. LSU Vanderbilt's playing very well right now, and LSU sucks. Just LSU sucks. So get ready for that. Penn State coming off of a 2-point loss at home, going to Purdue. That's going to be interesting. SMU and Duke. Nobody's talking about SMU and what they're doing. Georgia's heading to South Carolina. Watch out for Aycock, the freshman from South Carolina. He is very good. Georgia has got a great record and has played nobody in the games they've played except against Auburn. They lose. And there's a whole lot of other great games. The hockey slate tonight sucks. In the NBA, I mean, just like with the Lakers, you never know when they're playing. If they're going to play a team above 500, LeBron's not playing. If they play a team below 500 where he thinks he can go for 30 and 8, he'll play.
There you go. Man, and he's the king. He can do that. He's the best basketball player in the history of the game.
No, he's not.
Kai mentioned the team that I think really intrigues me just about, since I know we're a little SEC centric here, but and I don't remember if I talked about it here, but definitely on the starting lineup early, I think it was probably after 5 or 6 games, I gave out Vanderbilt 16-1 to make the Final Four. The SEC number had already moved by then, but now they're the favorite to win the SEC, and I completely think it's justified. I still think people are having a hard time coming around to just how good this team is, how well coached they are with Mark Byington. They play a really smart schedule. I mean, what was it? It ended up being close. I mean, it was a coin flip, but I think whenever they played Alabama, it must have been Wednesday, because that's when I started betting college basketball again. I was kind of sick earlier in the week. Their best player, Duke Miles, I think missed the last game, the South Carolina game. He got ruled in against Alabama, and almost any time that happens, a team's best player gets ruled in, you're going to see the market shoot up. But the market barely even moved once he got in. I just think there's some skepticism with Vanderbilt, and I don't necessarily think they would be. So I'd be targeting spots with Vanderbilt. At some point that they'll be a sell and they'll get too high, but they're 16-0 right now. And if you watch them, you know they're for real. It's not just a mirage. I think they're the rightful favorite in the SEC right now, and in a really great story that I don't necessarily know that everyone's caught on to yet.
Unfortunately, if you watch that game, though, it sucked. 88 free throws shot in that game between Alabama and Vandy. Alabama lost Elon, however the hell you say his name. He didn't play second half. Another starter out of that game. And Alabama, came back, played well. Both teams played really well. I think those are probably, and it pains me because I hate both of them, those are probably the two best teams in the SEC, at least right now. If Alabama's healthy, if they could just learn to play defense, I swear, and rebound. But yeah, that I totally agree. And if Vandy's anything below 15 over LSU, you have to hammer Vandy tomorrow.
My son was texting me late last night and was making me watch the game. Clemson SMU, 43 fouls called in the game. And he's like, dude, and I mean, he's all about it. He wants to clean up college basketball. He's like, this is ridiculous. And you know which guys are going to do it. But he said, there should never be more fouls than minutes in a basketball game. I said, you're right, man. 43 fouls. I don't know what they came out to when it comes to free throws. But if you got the over, it sure feels good. I love those guys that blow whistles and you're already in the bonus with 9 minutes left in the second half. That's my kind of game. So that's
they called 10 fouls in the Vandy Alabama game before the 16-minute TV timeout of the second half.
See, and I've seen Alabama play now 3 times this year. It seems like that's an Alabama thing. I was it most of it on Alabama? They foul.
No, it was 5 each. They both. Well, Alabama reaches in a lot because Nate Oates does not preach team defense. He doesn't preach moving your feet enough, in my opinion.
There you have it.
And how about you guys in Birmingham, another SEC team that stands out? I actually think I'll be looking to bet against this team going forward because I don't know how they're doing it. But, man, Bucky McMillan is an incredible coach. Texas A&M, they've been beaten up every single game. They lost their best player a few weeks ago, Mackenzie Mgbako, I think, is out for the year. And then, obviously, some hijinks there, that last-second shot of Auburn not maybe necessarily didn't deserve to win last game. But, man, I think even what they've done so far, and you look at their metrics, that's just stands out above the board. So I think they take a step back. I mean, I think that was a great hire by Texas A&M once Buzz Williams left.
I've known Bucky for a long time. Coached against him in high school. Coached against him in AAU. So yeah, and what he did at Mountain Brook High School here, they actually call it Bucky Ball still. That Mountain Brook plays, and they won state championships with him. They've won since then, and his influence in Birmingham, him and Newton, who runs 205 Hoops here, Coach Newton, their influence in Birmingham and in Alabama in the younger kids market now is phenomenal.
I knew you guys would have some insight, but yeah, I've been very impressed with what he's done early on at Texas A&M.
He needs to get an NIL at Bucky's. All right, guys, thank you, man. Love y'all. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. And, of course, Wildcard Weekend back at you Tuesday morning. Thanks to Duncan Dad for helping us out, and Angel, and, of course, the entire crew there, Coastal Sports Network. They do a wonderful job, and we're looking to expand, man, so be keeping an eye out for us. We're going to be all over it. And check out K4Wins.com. K4, the number 4, not FOR, but 4, K4Wins.com. Also K4 Winners on social media. We'll get after it. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you, man.
Enjoy.
So.
Oh, yeah. I got to run. I got an appointment in 30 minutes, 20 minutes away. Be good.
Yep. Good luck.